Welcome to Retirement Decoded with your host, Scott Tucker, where we break down the complexities of retirement planning to give you clear, actionable advice. Whether you're just starting out or getting ready to retire, Scott's here to help you make informed decisions and secure your financial future. Tune in each week as we simplify the process and decode the path to a stress-free retirement. Now, here's your host, Scott Tucker.
Well, welcome back to the podcast, Retirement Decoded with Scott Tucker. I'm your host, Scott Tucker. Andriy, we're all the way up to episode 33.
Wow, it's been a long time coming.
It's been 33 weeks, Andriy.
That's a pretty long time.
For those of you in Peoria, we upload a new, or I guess how do we do it? Whatever it is we do, it's out every Monday morning at 5 a.m. Central Standard Time. And then you got to adjust it. You know, if it's daylight saving, it'll still be 5 a.m. when it's daylight saving time. Right, or wherever you are and whatever it is right now, standard daylight saving, 5 a.m. Mondays. I should say 5 a.m. Mondays, Andriy.
Yeah, why not? I mean, it's same time, same day.
You don't get to spring forward and fall back. Well, you probably do, but, you know, maybe another time. And then I was going to say today's question comes just from Tobi, and Tobi says, Scott and Andriy, I met with a CFP today. Andriy, that's a certified financial planner. Mm-hmm. So Tobi says, I met with a CFP today, and he suggests I roll over my company 401k to their Roth IRA. That's hairy right there. We'll have to come back to that. At a 1% fee based. Is this wise? ? And then Tobi names the company, and I don't want to name the company. So we, Tobi, a lot of times folks use terms interchangeably that aren't interchangeable, and I don't think you meant to say this, but you said it, so now you can't forget it. So Andriy, Tobi says, I met with a CFP today, and he suggests that I roll over my company 401k. So now, Andriy, if it's a traditional 401k, what does it become when it grows up?
Traditional IRA.
Right. So Tobi says the CFP suggests that Tobi... I think Tobi's a woman. It's Tobi with an I, so that's a woman probably. Mm-hmm. You know, I met with the CFP today, and he just suggests I roll over my company 401k, which sounds like traditional, right, to their Roth IRA. So, Andriy, that would actually be a rollover and conversion. It'd be two things rolled into one. Probably not a good idea to combine them. Yeah,
that's you're going to get yourself into a hairy situation. It's easier to just go from step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, not everything all at once.
Yep. So, Tobi, if you have a traditional 401k, it should become a traditional IRA at the new place. Andriy, we do like the idea that if you leave your job, your money ought to leave with you. You shouldn't leave your funds in the employer plan when you leave the job.
Yep, I 100% agree with that.
So, Tobi, your traditional 401k, whether you work with this CFP or someone else or no one else, the traditional 401k ought to go to a traditional IRA somewhere else. You could do that at Vanguard, Schwab, Fidelity, and a number of places. You can do it right on your computer. It's not hard. Well, it's not easy. It is easier, actually, if you have help from an advisor, because the employer plans are kind of a little harder to get out of. But then, Tobi, if you have a company Roth 401k, now, Andriy, the funny thing about these Roth 401ks, because we have one at the company, Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc.
I know it well.
Yes. So the funny thing about the employer plan was a Roth 401k. The employee's contributions can all go into Roth, but the employer match has to always go on the traditional side. So, Tobi, even if you've been using a Roth 401k at the job or the old job or current job. Now, Tobi, if you're 59 and a half or older, you didn't tell us. If you're 59 and a half or older, even if you're still on the job, most plans will allow you to do what's called an in-service rollover. So she didn't say all this, did she, Andriy? Mm-mm. So if it's a past job, your traditional 401k becomes a traditional IRA. Now, where it gets hairy is if you have a Roth 401k from an old job or a present job, if you turn 59 and a half, you try to roll over the Roth 401k. You want to make sure there's a Roth portion that needs to go in a Roth IRA, and there's a traditional portion, usually from the employer match or maybe some contributions you may have made. The traditional money, that's going to traditional IRA. You don't want to screw that up. Andriy, the thing you really don't want to do is take Roth 401k money and put it in a traditional IRA and pay taxes all over again.
Oh, God, no. That's worst case scenario.
Yeah, talk about over and over again. And then Tobi's asking about this. I think she's also asking, the CFP says to roll it over to their Roth IRA and pay a 1% annual fee. That's not a crazy fee. Even Vanguard Vanguard's sort of like the low cost. They're kind of low, not anymore, but they kind of have a reputation of being like the low cost leader on exchange traded funds and mutual funds and stuff. Vanguard, Andriy, as you know, they did a study some years ago, and they found the average financial planner adds about 3% of return to a client's portfolio. Mm-hmm. So, Tobi, I wouldn't be mad if that CFP wanted to charge you 1%. I just want, and I think they're going to keep you out of trouble, but I want to hopefully keep you out of trouble, keep yourself out of trouble. If you have Roth 401k, it can go into Roth IRA. The employer matches, they're in traditional, and that needs to go to traditional IRA. And I think that CFP would walk you through that, keep you out of prison, right, Andriy?
Yeah, and and I think something else here to mention, because we get questions about fees all the time, and that seems to be a big concern for a lot of people, and I understand that, but you can also I'll give you a little bit of analogy here. I can get a burger at McDonald's, but I can also go to the steakhouse and get a burger. It's where am I getting the better value, right? I'm getting a burger on both ends, but the fee doesn't necessarily determine the quality of the product, right? Some people can charge you a high fee and do nothing for you, and some people can charge you a very low fee and do a lot for you. So it's more for me, is that CFP going to bring value to Tobi?
You know what? That's the thing too. We have folks say, well, I'm paying so much over here, so much over there. We just talked to a gentleman the other day, Andriy, at a pretty well-known firm locally, not a giant firm, but a well-known firm locally that sold. And didn't he tell us, you were on that call with us, didn't he tell us he was paying 2% per year? Yeah. Now that's a little high, especially this gentleman had like $2 million or so with this firm. Mm-hmm. And they were charging 2% on $2 million, which is a bit high, and plus they didn't do the tax planning they should have done, because he still had over $500,000 in traditional IRA. They never talked to him about, like, let's get this Roth converted, this sort of thing. Not specific advice, your mileage may vary. Don't try this at home. But the 2% is a pretty high fee. But I'm more concerned, Tobi. The 1% fee, totally reasonable. I'm concerned about what is the CFP going to do for you? Just like Andriy said, the investing, that's just, you can get the investment help anywhere. That's really not the secret sauce. The tax planning for retirement is something that most advisors aren't touching. I would be concerned, is the CFP at a big box firm where they're an employee of that firm and they're not allowed to help you with tax planning? Because, Andriy, that same gentleman we were talking to, we just said, there's a big thumb rule out there, and the advisor has to be independent or with a firm that is going to allow their advisors to do tax planning to really tell you this part. That gentleman we just talked about with the $2 million, he has like $500,000 of it's an IRA. He's never paid tax on the $500,000. Big thumb rule kind of tells us, and I told him, and I said, this isn't an exact number and not a guarantee and this sort of thing. But if you have a $500,000 IRA, you're likely that $500,000 IRA is likely to generate $500,000 in federal income taxes for you and your wife, and then they have he has kids from a first marriage. So it sounds crazy to people, right? How could you got a picture of a slinky? If you put out a slinky on the table in front of you, if you pull that slinky towards the sky, that's what happens with these traditional IRAs. You grow them and they throw off taxable income, because in your 70s the IRS makes you take money out even if you don't want to, and then or you need the money to live on, so you're taking money out of IRA or 401k, 403b, deferred comp, TSP, SUP, Simple KEO. So you're taking money out of these traditional accounts. You're paying federal income tax at ordinary income tax rates on the money that comes out. And then those distributions from the traditional tax deferred accounts can cause federal income taxes on up to 85% of your Social Security in your retired years as well. Mm-hmm. So kind of the big thumb rule for that gentleman was, if you've got $2 million saved for retirement, congratulations. I think it was like 2.2 overall. And but over $500,000 is in traditional IRA. Well, that traditional IRA of $500,000 is likely to create another $500,000 of taxes over your lifetime. And kind of another big thumb rule, we typically, or any advisor that really knows what they're doing with tax planning for retirement for the future, could probably save you about half that money over your lifetime between you, your spouse, the kids. So when you pass away, if you leave traditional IRA, Andriy, what's the worst kind of money to leave to the kids and grandkids?
Tax deferred money.
Like IRA, 401k, 403b, deferred comp, TSP, SUP, Simple KEO, because then the next generation gets to pay the taxes. Mm-hmm. So this is kind of a big thumb rule for everybody. It's not a promise or guarantee, that kind of stuff. But this gentleman has 2.2, 500 tax deferred in traditional IRA. If he lets it just sit how it is, it's going to create probably big thumb rule about $500,000 of federal income taxes over his lifetime. And an advisor, whether it's us or somebody else who actually is going to focus on tax planning for retirement, probably save him and his family about $250,000 of that money. Now, the bad news, Andriy, he's still going to pay $250,000 of taxes, right? This is not get out of jail free.
Well, you can't get any money out of those accounts unless you pay some tax.
Yeah, a lot of folks sometimes they don't want to do any tax planning. And one way to do tax planning is Roth conversions. There's other maneuvers that are a little niftier than that. But a lot of people don't want to pay taxes through like a Roth conversion or anything else. And you don't realize that slinky, that money, that traditional IRA money you have, it's not all your money.
Yeah.
And whose money is not on? Andriy? Whose name is not on the statements that ought to be?
The IRS.
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam.
Your least favorite uncle. Sometimes, and so that's the thing. So Tobi, I met with a CFP today, and he suggests I roll over my company 401k to their Roth IRA. We talked about how that language might not be right. At a 1% management fee per year. Is this wise? ? It could be. Just the thing that I'm not insulting Tobi. I don't want to sound like that. Just the fact that when folks sometimes come to us, Andriy, and it's, if I were to talk to an electrician about what I want to do, he's like, no, you don't do that. You're going to electrocute yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So so just the fact that people come to us with incorrect, imprecise language, that leads me to believe that if they didn't have an advisor to help them, they wouldn't know what they're doing and they could cause a giant problem.
Yeah. And we've seen some giant problems walk into the door, and
then you'd be mad and irritated. And I've seen you irritated. There's a country song like that. The guy says that, something like that.
Yeah, they look at you like a deer in headlights. Help me, please.
It's a lot easier to do it right.
Yeah.
What's that? Measure twice, cut once, right?
Yeah.
My dad, among my dad's many talents, he's passed now, but he worked as a carpenter for quite a bit and taught me some stuff. And yeah, measuring twice and cutting once is the way to go, especially if you have some expensive trim you're doing or something like that. So, Tobi, I met with a CFP today. He's just a roll over my company 401k to their Roth IRA. So just the imprecise language in traditional and Roth, that already gives me concern that I don't want to see you stub your toe.
Yeah.
So work with us, work with somebody else, do something. Just where most of us are not likely to do something we don't do every day well. That there probably should be a comment in there. Tobi, if you or any other podcast listener would like to talk to us on the telephone, you can go to tuckerretirement.com. You can see our phone calendar. You can click and pick a time on our phone calendar, and we will talk to you 15 minutes for free in the coming week with one of our financial planners. Get your financial planning questions answered, Andriy.
And your answers questioned.
At tuckerretirement.com, see our phone calendar, schedule a time right there. We'll spend 15 minutes for free with you in the coming week. Get your questions answered, your answers questioned, and walk you all through it. What else did I want to tell you about all that? The 1% fee is not outrageous. Now, we want to make sure you're getting investment management. We want to make sure you're getting tax planning for retirement. What's weird, Andriy, a lot of folks talk about last year I didn't pay much in taxes.
No.
That has nothing to do with the future.
Yeah.
Your traditional IRA, 401k, 403b, deferred comp, TSP, SUP, Simple Keo, it's never been taxed. It gets taxed in the future.
Yeah, and for those that don't know, in your 70s, depending on your age, it varies a little bit for everybody, but in your 70s, the government will tell you what percent you need to take out, and then they'll tax you on that, however much that is. And the beauty is they also get to change the tax rates in the future, so you don't know how much you're going to pay, but it's going higher.
Yeah, so we want to make sure Tobi has investment management, tax planning for retirement, because like in the example we gave with the other gentleman where he has $500,000 in IRA, the taxes are in the future. You can't see them by looking at last year's tax return. Also, your CPA or your enrolled agent maybe that helps you with your tax returns. The problem with CPAs and enrolled agents, we've conditioned them to look at last year's tax returns, not to project what our taxes are 5, 10, and 15, and 30 and 40 years from now. We've not asked the CPAs and enrolled agents to really focus on what the gentleman we talked to, his wife is 14 years younger-ish, 14 years. And so he expects at some point he'll be gone, and then she'll be here maybe 25 more years after he's gone. You know, women live longer but as a gender, and they have a 14-year difference. I mean, it easily she's 25 years on her own, and so that's a whole other thing that financial planners do. So we have investment management we want to be concerned with, tax planning for the future. We want to be concerned with our healthcare planning. The very same gentleman we're talking about is 62, and 3 years from now, he's going to be Medicare eligible, right? And at the same time, if his wife gets the health insurance through his job and he retires, or then we've got to find health, and Andriy and I are both health insurance licensed in Illinois. We're in Chicago. We help clients all across the country because our securities licenses and financial planning licenses are federal, not state. We're licensed for health insurance in Illinois, just to give you some background. We can help folks in other parts of the country. If we need to get a license in most states, we can pick one up. I still have an assortment of them around the fruited plain. I can't remember which states. But so at some point when the gentleman retires, and his wife is younger and she's not 65 yet, we need to find her an under 65, they call it, under age 65 health insurance plan so that she has coverage. And so is the CFP going to help you with that? Also, legacy planning, Andriy, half the folks we talk to, and we talk to people that are generally, we start out with people around age 55 to 70 when we do our workshops. Mm-hmm. So we're in Chicago. Our workshops are typically in Skokie, Illinois, Des Plaines, Mount Prospect, someplace else I'm probably forgetting. And but when we teach these workshops, we have folks that are 55 to 70. Half the room raises their hand that they do not have a will.
Yeah, and that's bare minimum.
Yeah, all a will does is say who's supposed to get your goodies when you're gone. A will does not avoid probate. Did the CFP tell you that? I hope so. The CFP likely knows that. You may have not gotten that far. And so I'd say don't get tripped up over that 1% fee with that CFP. So provided they're going to take care of all of this stuff, investment, taxes, healthcare, also legacy planning, like telling you things like wills don't avoid probate. A trust becomes effective the day you sign it, and it gives you asset protection from day one. A will never does give you asset protection. A will goes to probate, so there's back-end expense on a will. Whereas a trust, the successor trustee that you name can just start cutting checks once you pass away. The trust gives you asset protection while you're living, privacy after you're gone, because wills get published. The successor trustee can cut the checks and avoid the expense of probate. If you have a will, and say you have, let's say you have 4 kids, and one of the kids should not get money, or you just don't like them anymore. But some kids shouldn't get money due to substance abuse or gambling or whatever, or they don't talk to you, or they're mean. I don't know. So if you have 4 kids, you want to cut one of them out of the will. The problem with a will is the probate court has to notify all your children that they can come to the probate court. In our area, it's in Skokie, Illinois, at Cook County Circuit Court, the Northern District, or whatever they call it. They call it something or other, Andriy, but it goes to Skokie. And so now your kids, even including that one kid you cut out of the will, gets invited to go to Skokie and contest the will, and some kids are able to get themselves back into the estate. So, yeah, if you want asset protection while you're living, you need a trust, not a will. If you want privacy after you're gone, some folks we work with, Andriy, we're helping a couple right now. Their net worth, $8 million?
Yeah.
And if they were, now in their case, it's interesting. They don't have kids, but they want to help siblings, nieces, nephews, and this sort of thing. But the $8 million, if you have a will, there's no asset protection while you're living. There's no privacy after you're gone. And it has to go through probate, and people that you don't want to leave money can try to get cut into it. Boy, there's a lot there. And then, Andriy, also in the legacy planning area, we already said the worst kind of money is tax-deferred money, so IRA, 401k, that kind of money to leave the kids and grandkids, not a good idea. So, Andriy, what's the best kind of money to leave to the next generation?
Oh, Roth money, tax-free.
Tax-free and 10 years tax-free growth.
And 10 years
if you don't screw it up.
Right.
Right. So, Tobi, there's another thing, that CFP, I don't know how sharp the CFP is on the tax stuff. Some are, some aren't. It's kind of a look of the draw. Andriy, what do they call a medical doctor that graduates with a C-?
A doctor.
Yeah, that's right. They don't even warn you. They don't put they don't embroider a C- on his or her, the way I was going to say his, and that would be gendered language, wouldn't it, Andriy? It would be sexist of me. But so say you're a medical doctor and you have your white coat. They don't embroider your grade on your
right.
They don't say warning C-.
Hey,
Well,
C's get degrees apparently.
C's get degrees. Well, CFPs are just the same as everybody else. They're varying quality or ability. That's just normal. That's how that is. Actually, I was going to say just like an airline pilot, but that's scary, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
One of those guys got an A, one of those guys got a C.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
I'm assuming co-pilot got the C.
No, it's actually hours of experience.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, they get promoted eventually.
Huh.
You could get a C- and become an airline pilot, and then eventually, if you do it long enough, then you get promoted to the big chair.
Wow. Okay.
Isn't that fun?
Well,
that's interesting. That's scary stuff. So some CFPs are gonna really do a really thorough job of explaining to you. So we were on the inherited Roth. The inherited Roth under the Secure Act of 2019, you can leave it. Let's say you're the recipient. So Toby, say that your mom leaves you a Roth IRA, and if you have a really sharp advisor, the CFP's real sharp, they'll say, hey, if you don't need the money right now, yeah, it's all tax free, or you want some of it tax free to go do something, do that now. But maybe leave 90% of the money of the Roth IRA. We'll do a direct transfer, so it never touches your hands, into an inherited Roth, another account. So it has to go from the Roth IRA to in your name in an inherited Roth without you touching the money. Now you have 10 years tax-free growth, and at the end of 10 years, you can cash it out tax-free. But 10 years tax-free growth on inherited money that you got tax-free.
Yeah, especially if it's a large sum.
Yeah, well, whatever
any
it is.
Sum, right? But I mean, it's 10 years of tax-free
First of all, it wasn't your money. You inherited it. Right. Then you got it tax-free. And if you don't screw this up and you do a direct transfer or most of it into an inherited Roth, then you get 10 years tax-free growth beyond that, and then you cash it out tax-free.
Yeah.
So there's that. Hopefully the CFP knows that. See, these things can be worth 1% per year if they're taking care of your investments, tax planning for retirement. Maybe they save you $250,000 in lifetime income taxes. Maybe they don't. Just putting it out there. They help you with your Medicare, your under age 65 health insurance, or that for your spouse. Maybe they help you with long-term care information, like how to use potentially like something like a Medicaid asset protection trust. In Illinois, Andriy, an Illinois Medicaid Asset Protection Trust can protect all of your retirement money except for $16,000, and then the Medicaid will pay for your long-term care.
Yeah, something a lot of people don't know.
People don't know that. People don't know a lot about trusts, revocable living trusts, irrevocable life insurance trusts. We use it for estate planning sometimes. What kind of money is the best to leave to the kids and grandkids? What's the worst? And then also, here's something that I'm amazed that more financial planners, more financial advisors, and certainly even some of the CFPs don't know this stuff about how to potentially maximize your lifetime Social Security retirement benefits.
Yeah,
and how to get your Social Security free from federal income tax.
Yeah, well, Social Security is a complicated thing, but yeah, it's important to get somebody that knows their stuff.
A lot of people don't put the effort in.
Yeah,
the C- guy, but so. What a lot of folks don't realize, if you go into retirement with most of your money in tax deferred, like IRA, 401k, 403b, deferred comp, TSP, Simple KEO, if most of your retirement money is in that tax deferred area, not only are you paying unnecessary federal income taxes over your lifetime on that money, but now you could have up to 85% of your Social Security retirement taxed in retirement. Whereas most people we talk to, Andriy, about 90% of people we talk to, they could rearrange things to where they get their Social Security free from federal income tax. Mm-hmm. So that's not true for everybody. That's true for about 90% of the people we run into.
Yeah, but it takes proper planning.
It sure does. So go to tuckerretirement.com. At tuckerretirement.com, see our phone calendar. Click and pick a time, schedule yourself right there, and then we look forward to talking to you this coming week. We will spend 15 minutes for free with you over the telephone. You've wasted yet another perfectly good 23 minutes-ish listening to the ramblings of a short, bald man, namely yours truly, Scott Tucker. We'll talk to you on the next episode of the podcast. Give us a thumbs up, 5 stars, share it on Facebook page, whatever you want to do, and we'll talk to you on the next episode.
Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. has a strategic partnership with tax professionals and attorneys who can provide tax and or legal advice. Neither the firm nor its agents or representatives may give tax or legal advice. Individuals should consult with a qualified professional for guidance before making any purchasing decisions. A Roth conversion is a taxable event and may have several tax-related consequences. Be sure to consult with a qualified tax advisor before making any decisions regarding your IRA. The views and opinions herein are those of Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of AE Wealth Management, LLC. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC. AEWM and Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not affiliated companies. Insurance products are offered through the insurance business Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is an investment advisory practice that offers products and services through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. AEWM does not offer insurance products. The insurance products offered by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. are not subject to investment advisor requirements. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing carrier. This podcast is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual's situation. Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc. is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this podcast shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Scott Tucker Solutions, Inc.